So Forrest, he's much more of a Michigan Wolverines fan, but he's definitely a Bears fan, and we can respect him for that. He has a team and he doesn't waver. So we don't like the Bears on this podcast, but we like Forrest. So we'll let him chime in a little bit at some point about the Bears this week. But some things have happened. Some big things have happened since the last time we recorded, Evan, a week ago.
Well, we were talking a week ago about JJ's knee soreness, and I was trying to, be the optimist of like, oh, it's fine. These guys, they'll play a game during the regular season, and they won't practice for 3 days because they're just recovering and all that. And so I just kind of wrote it off as, whatever. It's just, he's just kind of getting settled into his new role as a professional quarterback and all this. And turns out it was his meniscus, and he's done for the year. So that stinks. So
I was talking to Forrest, who again is a Michigan fan, and the Wolverines were in the college football playoffs last year. They won the whole championship. And I was telling him on Twitter, I saw some people kind of ragging on Michigan, saying, I think JJ injured his knee initially in the Alabama game, which was the game before the national championship. So Michigan sold the Vikings some damaged goods. So thanks, Forrest. Thank you for that.
First of all, Michigan didn't sell you damaged goods. I think you guys don't know how to bring up a quarterback. You clearly injured him right when you got into training camp. But
well, we could argue about that.
Anyway,
the Vikings can't have nice things. That's just how it always goes.
Now, he may, no quarterback or really NFL player at all is ever fully healthy. So even if he did come in a little bit damaged, I'm not saying he got injured in college and brought that injury in. He probably actually got injured during the Vikings preseason game.
You guys still made the right choice, I think.
With JJ?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just another year I don't have to worry about kind of rooting for the Vikings because JJ won't be playing, so...
Yeah, but he's still JJ's... Or the Vikings are still JJ's team.
I was only going to root for him when he was on the field, though, so... Anyway.
But, he had surgery to hopefully fully repair all the ailments in his knee, and he should be good to go. It sounds like if they had gone with the quick and easy little patch-up surgery, that could have been detrimental to his career later on, but from everything I'm hearing, and I'm not a doctor, everything I'm hearing is, he'll miss this year, but he should, as far as that singular injury goes, he should be fine for the rest of his career.
And the blows kept coming on Monday because the news came out that he was going to have the surgery and he was going to... or maybe it was Tuesday, I guess it would have been last week, that he was going to be out for the season, and then Jordan Addison got carted off at practice too.
And it sounds like that's not going to be as big of a deal as it could have been either. Jordan Addison might still miss a little bit of time in training camp and maybe still be healing up the first week or two of the regular season, but sounds like he shouldn't miss any significant amount of time. So at least there's the silver lining of that. But it did seem kind of dark and gloomy there for a minute for Vikings fans. Like, what the heck? We're just getting over Kirk Cousins missing the whole season, and then we missed out on trading up for the 3rd overall pick, and it just seemed doomy and gloomy for a while. But I think we're gonna be okay. I'm still optimistic about this team.
We can weather
this season.
storm.
You're optimistic about this season.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
just so I want to make sure.
So I will say, in our Pick'em episode, 2 or 3 episodes ago, I predicted. What did I predict? 11-7.
Well, that was based on before JJ's injury.
JJ
I don't know.
was still not QB1 at that point.
You had speculation he was going to be at least halfway through the season.
I figured some point it wouldn't have been crazy for him to take over the.
But you're saying it probably didn't impact your picks that much.
Not a whole ton. It didn't
so now that he's out, if you were to redo your picks, would you change any of them?
I think you did have the highest record of all of us that picked games.
Yeah, I picked him to win like 11 or 12 games. So I think we have the sheets over there. Either way, I was am still pretty optimistic about the Vikings this year. But for a couple of days last week, it seemed pretty gloomy.
It was rough. They did sign Stephon Gilmore as of yesterday,
officially
I think, or today.
Came out, whenever he signed officially, it was within the last day or two. That's exciting.
Yeah, and that kind of seemed like it was like a long time coming. It just seemed like we'd been, even we talked to Dustin, 2 weeks ago on an episode? And even then we were talking about, maybe the Vikings could snatch up Stephon Gilmore. And, it seemed like what are we waiting for? Either
Yeah.
let's sign him or not, you know. And they finally got it done. $7 million guaranteed, $10 million possible.
Yeah.
So
Which you knew,
for
I
a
think
year.
that was the main holdup, was how much were the Vikings willing to offer to him, and then pure speculation, how much was he willing to take. Today, being Monday the 19th of August, he had his first practice with the team, and then he kind of held like a after practice outside little press conference with some reporters, and one of the first questions he took was, how long has this been in the works? How long have you thought the Vikings were a good possibility for you this year? And he said, his answer was like, yeah, probably the last couple of weeks, really. I thought it could be a possibility, and I thought I might want to come here. So it's definitely been in the works. He, it was public that he visited with the team, I think a week ago today, officially, and just put pen to paper yesterday or today.
There you
So
go.
I'm excited. I'm just glad they made a move. And we're not waiting for Fabian Moreau to be a starting cornerback or anything. So we got Caleb Williams in Chicago to worry about. So we need to have some good defensive backs.
You say that. I don't think you're being honest about that.
Okay, so Caleb Williams, he has looked okay. He's looked pretty good. And I said it a whole bunch last week. You can only look so good when you're on the field, and Caleb Williams has looked pretty good. So as a Vikings fan, I really hope he turns it around and really starts sucking. But he's looked okay so far.
What about your thoughts on the rest of the Bears preseason so far?
Yeah,
Anything stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything. I was happy to see that, we played our first string starters a lot longer, I think, in the last game. I think they need all the reps they can get.
Mm-hmm. Young teams, definitely.
Yeah. I think the defense is. I think the defense should be fine. Actually, it's the O-line is always an issue in Chicago, so that didn't make me feel any better. It seemed like they were still not great. So,
and with a rookie quarterback, that's what you need is a wobbly old line.
I know it. But there's weapons out there. I mean, between Cole Kmet, DJ Moore. Hopefully Keenan Allen stays healthy, and then you got Udunze. So, you definitely got weapons. So, we'll see what they put together. So,
Yeah. As a Vikings fan, it would be crazy to say that the Bears don't have some upside. They obviously have some upside. They brought in a lot of good talent this past offseason. They should be better than they have been in a while.
I think they continue to move up. I think they're definitely not contenders this year. I think they could press for definitely over 500, maybe 10 wins. I'd lean probably 9. But
if the Vikings are as bad as all the media says they're going to be, then there's 2 wins right there for the Bears.
you just don't know.
I think it will be interesting to see how the NFC North shakes out, because I think there are a lot of question marks in the lower part of the division. I think the Lions are still kind of the perennial powerhouse.
The Lions should be the favorites.
They're gonna win the division like they did last year, is my prediction.
Okay.
I think the Packers are better than they were last year, but I still think there are going to be some growing pains with Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think the Packers remain one of the most mysterious teams to me in the NFC North.
By far.
And then the Vikings and the Bears are kind of the obvious bottom of the NFC North, and it's just kind of a toss-up who's going to finish last, almost.
Yeah. Hopefully you're wrong, and I know you hope you're wrong on that, too.
I hope I'm wrong, too, for sure.
But, yeah, I agree with you. I think we all tend to think the Lions, until they get knocked off, they're the team to beat, at least in the division. And I would argue they've been the better team in the division since later in the 2022 season.
Oh, absolutely. They came in strong.
Yeah, because
that second half.
So the Vikings won the division, not this past year, obviously, but the year before, and towards the end of the year before, the Lions were giving the Vikings a lot of troubles.
Yeah.
So give credit where it's due. I think the Lions are definitely a team on the up and up. The Packers, I just go back to last year. Jordan Love obviously finished off the back half of his season looking pretty good. But the whole Packers team as a whole didn't really look too good until their run game started figuring things out. And, I mean,
we got their running back.
Their running back isn't on the team anymore. Now, Josh Jacobs, who they got, he's no slump. He's a really good running back. But I don't know. I feel like the Jordan Love hype is all just smoke and mirrors mostly right now.
Well, I mean, last year, he was either good or he was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, there was I can't remember a game where he was just okay. Mm-hmm. Like he was just hot or cold. So
yeah. And again, I haven't watched every minute of Packer football. Right. I never will, but I do know the Packers really turned it on when their run game figured it out. Which is kind of how football should be. They always say establish the run first. So
gotta have a balanced offense.
Yep.
So.
And if the Packers can't keep it going with their run game the way they finished off last season, then I think Jordan Love has not proven yet to be a guy that can put the team on his back and win as a quarterback. And I say that as a Vikings fan who we don't know what we have in a quarterback. Our most experienced Vikings quarterback right now on the Vikings team is Nick Mullins. And he's just F it, throw it up, and see what happens. Yeah. Which can be exciting, but also very frustrating when he is 99% sacked and he tosses the ball up and a defensive tackle picks it off.
You might depend on that run game a little bit more this season.
Yeah.
Gonna have to.
Yeah. As far as the preseason goes, we haven't seen Aaron Jones. We don't need to see Aaron Jones in the preseason. He's an older running back.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, keep him wrapped up and don't risk injury or more wear and tear. There's no reason to. Ty Chandler has kind of gotten a similar treatment. He's played a little bit, but he hasn't really played much, and he hasn't looked electrifying. I would argue the best looking running back on the Vikings in the preseason has been Kene Nwangwu.
Yeah, he's looked good.
Yeah. With a few flash plays and definitely that 50-yard touchdown. That was exciting.
Got an enormous amount of speed. He's just so fast.
Yeah, but still unproven. He's, 3-4 years in the league now and probably doesn't have 100 rushing yards on his career yet. So a lot of unprovenness in the Vikings backfield, all capitalized by the idea that the future QB1 isn't even an option this year. So we'll see. I'm still optimistic about the team as a whole, but maybe my 11-12 wins is a little bit more in jeopardy than it was a week or so ago.
So let's really quick go down the line and let's do NFC North final standings.
Okay.
Where do you think everybody ends up? 1 through 4.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think we're all agree. I think we'd think Detroit would be on top, but I'll let you guys speak for yourself. I hate to say it, but Green Bay probably has enough to pull out that second. But I think 2, 3, 4 are all going to be in within a game, maybe 2 games of each other. I think Detroit kind of runs away with the division again. So, and then I'll say Chicago just because I think we have a little more potential this year. But we'll see. And then, Vikings. But it could be like last year where Chicago and Vikings end up in dead, last as a tied record.
Yeah.
So,
I'll go Lions 1, Packers 2, and then I would say it's going to be very close between the
absolutely
Bears and the Vikings. As a Vikings fan, I'm going to take the Vikings at 3. And I'll say the Bears finish in 4th. But I could see the Lions obviously getting the playoff spot as the division winner, and then no wild card team coming from the North.
Yeah.
Oh, I
think that's very
could
feasible.
almost. Yeah, I would put money probably on that.
Yeah, I'd absolutely. That's probably the more accurate thing that could happen. Is only one playoff team in the North, even with 7 playoff teams from the NFC. Evan, I agree with you. I think the Lions are the team to beat until they prove otherwise. I think just off of experience, I think the Packers have to be number 2 so far. And then I'm just going to take the cop-out answer and say the Bears and Vikings are just going to be tied. Same as last year.
Yeah, it
Kinda
could
what
be.
you just
It
said.
really could be.
Yeah, I think they might finish with the same record.
Yeah.
And really the quarterbacks for both teams, because Sam Darnold is still relatively unproven. I mean, he has shown that he's more
played in a
that
couple
bust category.
He's played in a couple systems.
Yeah, but if you really look, when he's had solid opportunities outside of the Jets, he has shown that he's got some tools in there. I'm not saying Darnold's going to be a 5,000-yard, 50-touchdown passer, but, I mean, outside of being a backup on the 49ers last year, I'll say it again, it's almost cliche at this point. The Vikings are the best team Sam Darnold has been the QB1 on.
Oh, I mean, look at who he can throw to. I mean, if I mean, that's why I even with Caleb Williams. I mean, he's coming into a good system full of weapons to throw to. Now, whether he actually does it is another thing. But
and honestly, the only reason I would give a solid reasoning on the Vikings finishing better than the Bears this year, without being in jest and without being, I'm a Vikings fan. I am biased. I'm a Vikings fan. But I truly believe the Vikings coaching staff has a one-up on the Bears coaching staff.
I would agree with that, actually. I would actually agree with you. You have probably the better coaching staff.
So far, and anything can happen. Injuries can derail any team whatsoever.
I think looking at defenses, I think that's why I give the Bears the edge. I think they'll keep them in more of the games. So
yeah, definitely a possibility.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So what do you define as a good season, knowing that the Vikings are going to not or the Bears, they're not going to make the playoffs, obviously, what we're telling ourselves. I mean, we finished, 7-9?
It would have been 7-10.
7-10,
yeah,
thank you. I forgot we had the NFL had the extra game. So 7-10. What do you consider like taking the step forward?
What do you think, Ev?
I think not finishing last in the division is a success. I think not getting swept in all of your division games, it would be a success for the Vikings. I mean, I think you're going to drop a handful of them, but, if you can avoid a sweep from any of the other 3 division teams, that's a success. I think if you want just a number, a record, I'd say 8-9 wins would be that would be the Vikings on a trajectory to be a playoff contender next year.
Yeah. Prior to JJ's surgery, I would have said some semblance of development from him, whether it's as long as he would have passed the eye test. Like, he could have thrown a bunch of interceptions, but as long as it wasn't like totally his fault and he didn't know what team he was playing for, just some semblance of him looking like a NFL quarterback, which, yes, it was against backups in the first preseason game, but I think we kind of got a little taste of that last week against the Raiders, before his injury, of course. But now I just think, I don't know, it's almost kind of like what I just said about Nick Mullins. The Vikings are kind of playing F-it ball, and there's a lot of guys that are going to try to make something of their careers. I think, obviously, I think Stephon Gilmore signing with the team when he probably had other options elsewhere, maybe for more or less money, who will never know, but I guarantee the Vikings were not the best team that tried to sign him, and maybe there's some small sense of belief in the Vikings from that, and maybe I'm overreading into it too much. Maybe the Vikings did offer him the most, and he's just like, yeah, give me the money. But I think when you're able to bring in a respectable free agent at this point, even after a pretty devastating injury to a future quarterback one, maybe not all is lost. I just think the biggest thing is if the Vikings defensive backs can figure it out, and if their O-line can figure it out, because their backups have not looked good on the offensive line so far in the preseason. But yeah, just seeing some solid development from some of these younger players, like the Ivan Paces of last year. If we can get one more like Ivan Pace this year, maybe Levi Drake Rodriguez, I don't know. But yeah, it would be nice to see something to be excited about.